I'm going to tell you this. This is the California Athletic Commission at their best again. This is the California State Athletic Commission at their best again. Turn your volume down. There's going to be some bad language. The California State Athletic Commission has fucked up over and over and over again. Let me give you 3 examples, including this one. First, James Toney, Hasim Rahman, the rematch on Fox Best Damn Sports Show. A butt opens a cut on Rahman's eye. Rahman, same thing as Campbell, says he's seeing spots. They stop the fight. They don't even care that a butt opened the cut and he couldn't continue. They declared a TKO victory for Toney before Rahman has to protest and get it overturned as a no contest. They knew it was a butt. They still declared Toney the winner by TKO. They fucked up. The Margarito thing. We've been down this road before. Traces of sulfur and traces of phosphate don't make the compound that is plaster Paris. And when I get the video equipment right at my house, I'm going to do a video of just Margarito's hand wraps to show you that they are pliable, and that they were, after the Cotto fight, that they were totally pliable and bendable. They look like ace bandages is what they look like, and there was no plaster Paris involved. Traces, traces, that's what was found. They fucked up by allowing one of their people to watch his hands be wrapped, allow it, sign off on it, and then get Chubby Checker in there to cause all the trouble that was caused. I'm not saying they didn't do something wrong. I'm saying they did. I'm just saying it's not to be blown out of proportion like HBO wants you to think it is. That's what I'm saying. And number 3 is this fight here. It's obvious the butt caused the cut by video. Now, I will say this again in defense of this referee Mendoza in Bradley and Campbell, that a lot of punches were being thrown, and the butt caused the cut, and in a flurry of punches it may look like to the referee that a punch opened the cut. I personally think Campbell deserves the same benefit of the doubt that Rahman got. Protest, get it returned to a no contest. Maybe they'll make the fight again. I think that Bradley and Gary Shaw and those guys are open to it. I mean, the WBO is one of the more lenient organizations, which will allow another, voluntary defense. It's not like they hold a gun to their champion's head for mandatory defenses like the others do. The newer an organization, the more lenient they are to get the right thing done. It's when they start making too much money and they owe too much money out that they want to go ahead and have 3 champions per division, or strip somebody at the top of a hat when they've just fought 2 weeks ago, and they demand that they fight again in 30 days against the mandatory. It's just insane. But anyway, that was the fights over the weekend, and very impressed with both Bradley and Devon Alexander. Many of you are asking, how did Don King end up with him? That's a good question, but he's been Don King's been berated for keeping him hidden for the last couple of years. He's been a very highly touted prospect. All right, the video, assault in the ring. Let's be clear about this. I know it was kind of a feel-good kind of a video or movie that Eric Draft made, and I've watched excerpts of the same thing on YouTube. We've even sent emails back and forth to each other, or I should say messages on YouTube about, did you see this, did you see that? I want to be clear about a couple of things about this. I was watching and following boxing very heavily when this happened. I did not see this fight live. This fight, along with the whole card, which included Roberto Duran and Davey Moore, was on closed circuit TV. It was on a weeknight, if you'll believe that. It was like on a Tuesday or Wednesday night or a Thursday night, I can't remember. It was on the middle of the week. It was re-shown by CBS like 2 weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later. The thing about this is that they make it sound like Louis Resto was a tomato can, and just Billy Collins was being groomed to be Sugar Ray Leonard or the next superstar. They're exaggerating. The situation was this. Louis Resto had resurrected his career on ESPN. You saw that belt that they gave him? ESPN used to run tournaments in which each division would run a tournament, and that fighter would eventually get a shot at a world title when a world title meant something. Louis Resto had beaten a guy who, I don't even know if the tournament went on, but he had beaten 2 guys in spectacular fashion. That Robert Sawyer that they showed you a clip of, he was losing that fight and came back and stopped him in the last round. And a guy named Al Earthquake Carter, I believe he also knocked out too, that totally turned his career around. That fight, at least from my perspective, was a toss-up because they both had fought on ESPN in different parts of the country. And it wasn't like this was like, you know, the odds were 44-1 in favor of Billy Collins. It wasn't anything like that. I mean, if anything, he was like a 7-5 or a 2.5-1 favorite at best. At best. All right, that may have sounded weird, but because it sounded like that was 2-1 at the most. But anyway, when that fight went down, the expectation was that Collins was going to win. The damage that Resto did to him and was made known that there was questions about the gloves, nobody doubted it whatsoever. Keep in mind, again, what the video didn't show you or paint a better picture of was that Panama Lewis was under extreme scrutiny in the 7 months before then with the Pryor thing. Remember that even though it's not right for the media to do this or for me to do this, that when Pryor and Arguello fought, the focus was on Arguello winning a 4th world title and making history. Pryor's, made out to be the bad guy. And when that bottle thing happened, which I believe with all my heart and all my soul, if you watch that fight round by round by round and you saw how one fighter's getting killed, which is Arguello, is coming back, the other guy had never fought even into the 13th round, and all of a sudden he's slowing up, he's getting clocked with big punches. He takes a sip of that bottle, he comes out with new energy and stops Arguello. I mean, it doesn't calculate right. And those of you who are going to argue with me that, he beat him without the bottle, without Panama Lewis in the rematch, yeah, the damage he did to Arguello was irreversible in the first fight. But anyway, getting back to this, what Resto was saying, I truly believe about that primatine or whatever the hell he was crunching up and putting in the water. I don't doubt that whatsoever. Listen, I don't care if it was fruit juice and water. It's illegal. But getting back to what I was saying, there was immense scrutiny on Panama Lewis. When Billy Collins' father grabbed the glove and saw there was no cushioning in it, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind, as somebody who was 12 going on 13 at that time, that he had done it, that he had done this. I mean, no doubt whatsoever, because he was acting like he was given those gloves, and yet you hear this talk in the video about them going to the bathroom. I'm not. Resto doesn't get much sympathy from me because he knew something was wrong with the gloves. He even admitted at the end of the movie. He should, maybe he was worried that the cocaine killer was going to kill him. I don't know. That never came out. But the simple fact of the matter is, who's responsible for Billy Collins' death? Is it Panama Lewis and Louis Resto? Maybe it's Billy Collins Sr. I'm not blaming him, but I'm asking these questions and using some critical thinking, because you heard Bob Arum say Billy Collins could fight again. I was led to believe that he couldn't fight again because of his eyes, that he had some physical damage, and that was back when Sugar Ray Leonard had called it a career for the first of many times because of his detached retina, and I had no idea, as a kid, and medical things were a lot different back then about whether he could fight or not. And Bob Arum made it clear in that video that they were offered fights, and Billy Collins Sr. turned them down because he was suing everybody and their brother. And I guess not being able to make a living and look like the very humble means by which they lived was too much for Billy Collins Jr. when his livelihood was taken away. I guess some sympathy can go towards Resto that his life has been ruined, but looks like Panama Lewis is doing pretty good. I mean, looks like he's got all the gold in the world, doesn't he? I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't think that he's been wronged in any way, shape, or form. He's gotten exactly what he deserves. Don't feel one bit bad for that guy. He's gotten what he deserved. It's almost like it's guilt by association, and what the people are crucifying Margarito, I'm almost in the same boat. He had Capetillo, just like Resto had Panama Lewis. They're guilty, I mean, by association. And, what they did was unforgivable. I mean, I can't fathom, what Lewis and the guy who died in the 8 months before the trial, what they were thinking. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm blown away. I'm really surprised that a couple of things happened. That one, Collins was able to take everything Resto had, and two, it was almost like Resto, Collins' punches during that fight had no effect on Resto. But that's going to be about it. We'll see what YouTube does now with, I'm going to throw up a couple of videos and see if they can take my application seriously. But that's going to do it for this show. Keep watching, and we'll keep you apprised of what's going on. Thanks.